For the past 6 months, me and my family have been living with the Hyundai Venue Elite. And in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things I liked about it and 3 things I didn't. First, a little bit of context about the Hyundai Venue. It's a small SUV and it's also one of the most popular models in its class, and a lot of that comes down to its pricing. It starts at just over $20,000 through to $26,740 for the top spec Elite, which is what we've got here. It's the new affordable Hyundai, the range opening offering for the brand, because there's no accent or gets anymore. It just so happens that the Venue is in that popular compact SUV body style. The Elite model has a host of goodies over the lower grades. You can have it with either a 2-tone paint finish or a sunroof, for example, and it has some stuff to justify spending extra to get into the flagship model, like climate control aircon, blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, and these part cloth, part premium vinyl seats. In this review, I'll split it across the 3 things I liked during my 6 months with the Hyundai Venue and 3 things I didn't like. And you'll find time codes on your screen where you can jump ahead if you want to. There's also chapter markers in the YouTube timeline below. And below that, you'll find a link to my full detailed multi-update review of the Hyundai Venue Elite. And it's at the CarsGuide site. Also, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Small SUVs are not created equal. Technically, this is actually a light SUV, which means it's even more lightweight than some of the bigger small SUVs. In fact, there are some models that fit into the broader small SUV category that are half a metre longer than the Venue, but still don't offer the practicality that this little unit does. Let me give you an example. The Venue's boot is 355 litres. For a car this size, that's exceptional. In fact, that means the Venue has more boot space than a Mazda CX-3, Mazda CX-30, Kia Stonic, and Toyota Yaris Cross, depending on the spec. Over my time with the Venue, I've loaded plenty of stuff in the boot, and I like the fact that those seats can fold 60/40, allowing you plenty of space if you need it. It's almost like a miniature van when you do fold everything down. Whether it's hardware stuff for home reno projects, the weekly grocery shop, or even boxes of baby stuff, the boot of this Venue has been its biggest advantage over my time with it. And I love the fact that you get so much space in there, especially considering it's smaller than a Kia Rio nose to tail. Another thing I love about the boot of the Venue is that it gets a space saver spare under the boot floor, and there's also an adjustable boot floor so you can have it either level with the seat backs or allowing you the most boot space possible. And how good's this? The parcel shelf, you can take it out of the way and without having to lose it in your garage, instead you can just slide it down behind the rear seat. I think that's brilliant. I took some friends for a drive in the Venue and they asked me, just how much is this car? And when I told them the price, they were amazed because they didn't think that you could get something that was quite as interesting inside at this sort of price point. A lot of that comes down to the fact that this car doesn't have the typical black on black treatment that we see in so many other affordable SUVs. It's got a really interesting look with the 2-tone finish on the dash and doors, and I really like it. This color trim combination on the outside is called the denim, and you can have it with a chalk white roof, or if you want, you can have a sunroof instead. It just means you get the body color paint on the roof, not white. It also means that you get the denim cloth interior, which is actual denim. It's like wearing a pair of comfy jeans that you've owned for years. These seats are really comfortable. I like the fake leather bolstering on the sides as well, and the stitching just brings it all together really nicely. You can get this denim trim finish in some of the other models in the Venue range. You just have to check it out on the Hyundai Australia configurator to see which models get this trim. And like I said, that cream look plastic at the bottom of the doors and the dashboard just really makes it feel a little bit more interesting than most of the other competitors in this class, which have that black on black finish, which is just so boring and feels cheap for a lot of the other cars out there. One other thing I really like is this little shelf in front of the passenger. It's a really handy little spot to store things, whether it's a wallet or phone or even sandwiches when you're on the run. It's a really nice little thoughtful piece of design, and also the rest of the storage up front is pretty good too. I like the fact that in the back you get the same sort of treatment, the same seat trim, and the door elements as well match what's up front. And in terms of rear seat space, you can fit 2 adults back there. We did it a few times, but I'd never try and fit 3 adults because it is pretty tight. If you've got kids, there are dual ISOFIX points and 3 top tether points. If you've got fur babies like us, then well, it's a pretty comfy space as well. We did quite a few long road trips and there were no complaints from the back. The Venue Elite has the most safety tech you can get in any Hyundai Venue in Australia. Like the models below it, it's got a forward collision warning system with AEB and pedestrian detection, plus lane keeping assist and lane departure warning, so it'll detect whether you're going out of your lane and actually pull you in your lane at certain speeds too. And in the Elite trim level, you also get blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. I can't tell you how many times that rear cross traffic alert has helped me when reversing out of a parking space or even my own driveway. It's one of the most underappreciated safety tech items out there. Despite that safety tech, you need to know that the Venue range has a 4-star NCAP safety rating, but I'll get to some of my other dislikes in a sec. The Hyundai Venue has a fun personality, but it just isn't that fun to drive. It's been tuned by Australian engineers at Hyundai to be really comfortable and compliant in terms of the suspension, but the steering just isn't overly involving. It's not the sort of car you long to go for a mountain drive in. That might not matter to you, but it does to me, and I just wish that a car with such a playful exterior and interior design was just a bit more playful to live with. Maybe a manual model would scratch that itch for me? I don't know. Indeed, the biggest dislike I've had with my Venue is the powertrain. It's a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine across all models in the range, and most people choose the 6-speed automatic like you get as standard in the Elite model. That automatic transmission really robs any joy of driving this car for me. It just feels like it's tuned for efficiency, so there's no real fun to be had, and also a lack of torque from the engine just doesn't translate to an enjoyable drive experience when the auto is in normal mode. But you can switch it to sport mode if you want to, but really all that does is just mean that it holds gears longer, and that just throws a bit more boom from that noisy engine into the cabin. If you know Sydney, you'll know the big hill after Penrith as you go up the Blue Mountains. Well, I live at the top of that hill, which we're going up right now, and I like to go shopping at the shopping centre at the bottom of the hill. So what that means is that every week I go up this hill and I have to put up with this lethargic engine and transmission just sort of hunting for a gear. It is really annoying. I mean, yes, you can fix it by putting it in sport mode, but it just makes the transmission hold gears longer and you get a bit more boom through the cabin. I don't do it very often because I just have gotten used to having to thrash this engine to get up this hill. It's just not really good enough, if you ask me. A turbocharged engine and a smarter transmission would really transform the fun factor on offer in the Venue. It'd probably also help lower the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure, which for a small SUV is quite high. And during my 6 months with the car, I've seen pretty close to that high official number too. If you know me, you know that I hate halogen headlights on modern day cars. Not only because they look poo, but because, well, the light beam just isn't as good as an LED light is. And I do quite a lot of nighttime driving, whether it's driving to and from the office after hours, or even just going to the shops to do the regular grocery run, or doing country road driving at night. And I have to say, the beams on these halogens just aren't that good. In fact, I'd say they're pretty bad. That LED ring around them just makes that dull yellow beam look even less impressive, if you ask me. Now, let's jump back inside for my final dislike. The Hyundai Venue doesn't have height adjustable seat belts, which I don't like because it means I can't get the seat belt down low enough on my shoulder because I like to sit pretty low in the car. Thankfully the seat adjustment's good, but the height of the seat belt could be better. There are other things still to this day that I haven't really gotten used to. Maybe it's because I jump in between a lot of other cars as well, but this central dial where the temperature display is, well, I always go to twist that, but that doesn't twist. You've got the fan control on this side, or you've got the temperature control on that side. And this middle one is just a display screen. I still haven't gotten used to that after 6 months with this car. Another thing I haven't really gotten used to is the screen. Well, I have gotten used to it, but I don't like the fact that it constantly cuts out. The CarPlay system, well, oftentimes I've connected my phone and instead of having CarPlay show up, I just get a black screen. And it's happened to my phone, my partner's phone, different cables. So we've tested it a few different ways and the problem remains. And it's just not good enough in a modern day car. The Hyundai Venue Elite might be the right SUV for you depending on what you're expecting of it. If you are after a car that's both small on the outside and big on the inside and has a nice interior, some pretty interesting exterior styling elements and a really good price point, then it could be perfect for you. But if you're like me and a car is more than just a means of getting from A to B, then you're gonna wanna look around because the Hyundai Venue doesn't really tick the box when it comes to fun factor. And also you're gonna wanna throw a few more challenges at it than just seeing how many things you can fit into the boot. Don't worry, we've done plenty of reviews of fun small SUVs that compete with the Hyundai Venue, like the Ford Puma and Skoda Kamiq, and you can see them at our YouTube channel or at the CarsGuide site. And speaking of the CarsGuide site, that's where you'll see my full detailed written review of the Hyundai Venue in month-by-month installments. You'll find the link to that in the description below. And that's where you'll see how I got to this final score. Here's that score now. Thanks for watching.